The government of Guam faces several challenges, and being short-staffed doesn't help. According to Governor's Director of Communications, Troy Torres, the administration's slew of commissions and task forces has helped leaders at Adaloop understand the issues facing our island.
So it was pretty important to put together these groups that are able to focus on certain things, focus on the big ticket items that need to be taken care of.
And at the top of that list is no doubt the Department of Education, which Torres says the governor may not have any control over, but has created the Education Task Force in order to ensure children are being educated and that issues are addressed such as new schools, facility improvements, and learning resources.
And this task force was a way to build more resources into this project, not just the governor's chief education advisor or any of the policy advisors up here, but to bring together members of the Board of Education, the education community.
The Education Task Force was impaneled in February, and Torres says several of its subcommittees have had over 40 sessions to come up with their recommendations on improving education. However, some have raised issue that although groups like the Education Task Force start off with such great promise and hope, it appears to lose steam after being created and aren't followed through. Vice Speaker B.J. Cruz believes the intent in forming these groups is to gain focus on the issues and work in the same direction. Unfortunately, it's not happening.
They are well intended. It's just whether or not you have a leader that's going to follow through. And you need to follow through on some of these things. Otherwise, we're all disjointed.
Cruz is most concerned about the Fiscal Responsibility and Tax Refund Commission and the Procurement Advisory Council. He serves as a vice chair for the latter and has written several measures relative to the procurement process. The Fiscal Responsibility team has only met twice, and the PAC has yet to meet since it became law in October last year.
And I really do think that I've come up with several recommendations on how we can meet the $43 million shortfall. Unfortunately, it's not been addressed by the Commission or by the administration. So I wrote to the governor and I said, by today, if you don't have the Commission meet, I'm going to reintroduce all the legislation on procurement that I've introduced in the last 3 legislatures, and we'll do it from the floor.
The Fiscal Responsibility Team was created to provide bipartisan solutions to the 20-year-old structural imbalance of the general fund, whereas PAC was set to address issues surrounding procurement, such as protests. Torres, meanwhile, defends although some of these groups may not have been meeting consistently, it doesn't mean they haven't been making a difference. He adds that the task forces and commissions aren't for show, and if you look at some of the results from paying out tax refunds to stabilizing the government's finances, it will show they are effective and serious.
Obviously, what shows is the hard work that's gone in all these months to improving the finances and to actually affecting people's lives.
The Education Task Force, meanwhile, has not set its next public meeting, nor has a Deficit Elimination Committee. The Spending Cuts Task Force recommendations, meanwhile, are due on June 1st, and the Guam First Commission will be meeting in the next week or two. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Ken Quintanilla.